One day, Wilfred Gordon heard his mother and father talking about Miss Nancy. "What's a memory?" asked Wilfred Gordon. He was always asking questions. "It is something you remember," said his father. So he called on Mrs. Jordan, who played the organ. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something warm, my child, something warm." And last of all, on his way to Miss Nancy's, he went into the hen house and took a fresh, warm egg from under a hen. Then Wilfred Gordon called on Miss Nancy and gave her each thing one by one. She put a shell to her ear and remembered going to the beach by tram long ago and how hot she had felt in her button-up boots. I wish your dad was around to share this with Tommy. And I wish we'd been able to plan for his last days better.
They were hard. I was so worried about both of you. We kept having to make decisions on things we knew nothing about. Medicines, respirators. If only we'd had more time to decide.
I'm so tired, Naomi. Worn out.
I know, Mom, this has been hard. So much to think about and so many decisions to make. Dad's death's been awfully hard on both of us.
There must be a better way. What else could we have done?
People are realizing that they can play a major role in planning their own care.
Oh, we're not doctors.
That's why I'm here. That's why the rest of the staff is here. We want to discuss possible medical treatments and choices.
The idea is for you to decide, soon and together, and write down your choices.
That sounds so hard and callous.
It may seem that way. Formally, you'd be preparing advanced directives, but they're simply to guide us all into the type and extent of the care that you want.
Not now. I don't want to talk about that now.
I understand. Well, give me a call when you feel like it. Perhaps in a month or two. You can come in then and we'll discuss it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
We usually write out your choices as advanced directives in case someday you can express your wishes for your own health care. Advanced directives guide physicians, nurses, and other healthcare professionals in providing care consistent with your wishes. Actually, nursing homes must by law provide written information about your rights to decide about medical care, to accept or refuse treatment, and to formulate advanced directives. They're also required to maintain written policies and procedures about advanced directives, and to provide written information about them.
Is this something we have to do?
No one can require you to make advanced directives. It's entirely your choice, but I encourage you to. Regardless of your choice, you'll be cared for and made comfortable.
This sounds like a will.
You're right. One basic form of advanced directive is called a living will. The other, a durable power of attorney for health care. The living will is a set of instructions written directly to your physicians. The durable power of attorney appoints another person to make health care treatment decisions for you.
Which is better?
Well, they actually serve different needs. Many people choose to have both. Most states have laws about living wills. Generally, they may be written with or without an attorney in your own handwriting. They should be shown to your family and physician, then entered into your medical record. Now, while living wills are based on our knowledge of typical situations, they can't address everything that might occur. On the other hand, the durable power of attorney allows you to entrust your care to another person, like Naomi, if you become unable. It takes on the force of law. It sets the context for healthcare decisions, yet allows the other person to be flexible about making them. With the durable power of attorney, you substitute the other person's judgment for your own.
Well, am I giving up control of all my care if I make an advance directive?
No, they go into effect only if you can't express your decisions.
But what if I change my mind?
Go ahead. You can change them at any time you like. They're your instructions.
Well, sounds like it'll work.
It does. So how do we proceed?
Well, basically, there are 5 steps. First, talk with your doctors and other healthcare professionals about various therapies you're likely to need. Second, put the information you gather in the context of your values, how you want to live. The third thing, your physician and other professionals are your advocates. So discuss your thoughts, your questions, and your concerns with them. Take advantage of their medical knowledge to help you form plans consistent with your values. And involve your family in your decision-making. They're the ones who may need to carry out your wishes eventually. The fourth thing you need to do is to state your wishes. Make notes and eventually a formal document. Be as specific about various care options as you want to be. You might even choose a representative to carry out your wishes. And then finally, follow through. It's especially important to tell your family and professional care providers. Let them know that you've formed advance directives. Unless they fully understand what you want, they may not do precisely as you wish.
I like the sound of that.
I'm sure it's for the best.
Good. Now, if you'd like, I'll get you started on the first step today.
Well, what sort of therapies are we likely to need? Artificial respiration and things like that?
Artificial respiration is usually one of the first ones that comes to mind for most people. So are DNR, or Do Not Resuscitate orders, and cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR.
A do not resuscitate order is a physician's order instructing the nursing staff not to begin cardiopulmonary resuscitation and not to send the patient to the hospital for CPR. All too often, DNR orders are written after a patient has suffered some catastrophic event and has moved from pre-hospital care to the intensive care unit. This is entirely appropriate for most circumstances. However, for frail and debilitated elderly patients or terminal patients, it's helpful to discuss and use DNR orders earlier. In many situations, death is neither sudden nor unexpected. CPR is the process of providing artificial breathing and circulation in case breathing, heartbeat, or both have ceased. CPR begins with mouth-to-mouth breathing and ends in the very technological environment of the intensive care unit. CPR is viable when a relatively healthy person's breathing or heart stop suddenly and unexpectedly. Many older people die following a long decline in health. These individuals rarely respond to CPR. Scientific evidence supports the American Medical Directors Association position that CPR is most often a futile therapy in long-term care facilities, and that attempted resuscitation is overutilized in this setting. Artificial respiration is used when someone can't breathe on their own. A tube is inserted directly into the windpipe, and oxygenated air is provided by a mechanical ventilator. The use of artificial respiration is likely inappropriate in brain death and is an especially difficult decision when a patient is in a persistent vegetative state. The use of artificial respiration needs to be considered case by case. There are a whole host of social, psychological, and spiritual issues to consider before choosing artificial respiration. With today's small portable ventilators, some people remain alert and even mobile and can enjoy longer lives.
This whole business is overwhelming.
These issues can take a lot of emotional energy, but I believe you'll find it well worth your effort. This is your chance to control what happens to you, not to be controlled by what others think you should have in an emergency situation. There are other more common therapies to consider for your advance directives. These include tube feeding, hospitalization, and antibiotics. The tubes and equipment used for artificial respiration look so striking that people often assume we're referring to that when we mention tube feeding.
Tube feeding is a way to give water and liquid food. A feeding tube is placed into the stomach or the intestines through the nose and the abdominal wall. Feeding tubes are very different from breathing tubes. Compared to tubes used for artificial respiration, the feeding tube is relatively small, comfortable, and less noticeable. It is a way to give necessary food and water when someone cannot eat or drink enough. Tube feeding can prevent dehydration and maintain or improve nutritional health. Tube feeding is food, but like an oral diet, it won't cure underlying medical conditions. The decision to begin or continue feeding should be based on the goals for medical therapy and the patient and family values and preferences on the role of nutrition. Tube feeding is a way to provide nutrition for someone who is unable to swallow due to underlying condition or a person who is not alert enough to eat or drink. When the goal is to maintain a level of health or rehabilitate, then tube feeding is beneficial and routine.
As you form advanced directives, you also need to consider where care will be given. When would you wish to have hospital care? And closely related, when would you want antibiotic treatment?
The purpose of hospitalization is to provide medical treatment for the sick or injured patient. The goal is to either cure the patient or have them leave the hospital in better health than when they arrived. But sometimes hospitalization may not be in the patient's best interest, especially when the patient has a condition that cannot be resolved. Also, repeated hospitalizations for this type of patient can cause undue stress. Some nursing homes today can provide high-tech care. And what better place than in the patient's own home where there's warmth and there's friendliness. The first time an infection occurs, antibiotic treatment may be appropriate and may be used the second, third, and fourth time. But there may come a point when the patient and the family perceive that antibiotic use may only prolong suffering.
So, these are the issues that you're most likely to have to decide about. If there are other therapies to address, you'll need to go through the process for each of them in turn. You'll need to find out more about all of these from the entire healthcare team. Nurses, dietitians, and social workers can all provide objective help, as can these pamphlets and also videotapes.
What's next?
Well, the next thing to do is to understand your values. Ask yourself some thought-provoking questions. How do you feel about your health today? How important are independence and self-sufficiency to you? What living conditions are important to you? You'll need to give some deep thought and conversation to these issues. Ruth, to understand yourself. Naomi, to understand your mother. You might also talk this over with your close friends, personal confidants, clergy, or a social worker. Explore your personal preferences, your cultural and ethnic heritage, your religious beliefs, potential physical and psychological changes, your present medical condition, and the quality of life you'll accept. Now, all this will take some time. Conversation and understanding are really the most important parts of the process. Don't skimp on them. Once you understand what's important to you, consider the medical options. Weigh the burdens and benefits, and make choices. Keep in mind that there is no single right decision. Different people will come to different conclusions from the same information. And you can always change your mind. Advanced directives aren't written in stone. As long as you're able, the decisions are yours.
Sounds like lots to consider.
Yes, there is a great deal to consider. At the heart of it is this: what do we hope to accomplish by any treatment at any time? Now, once you decide, then you'll need to help us, the medical team, to understand. Tell us how to proceed. When the time comes, the medical decisions we make can be based on your goals.
And those are the directives. This is a lot to think about. So much to discuss. But at least we're not doing this under pressure like we did with Dad.
I'd rather we have some control. I want to have a say in what happens to me.
To us. Well, I have to admit, it'll be a lot easier now that I know what you want.
I want some cookies.
Help yourself, darling.
Tommy?
Thanks, Gran.
Well, frankly, I'm glad we planned together. I feel in control, and I'm not afraid of what might happen. I know that you and Dr. Groves and the staff all know just how I want things done. Besides, there are much more important things to do. Look at him. How he loves those cookies. Tommy, would you like to go play bingo with me?
Can I take a cookie?